Okay, let's talk about it. If your social media posts are getting views, even if it's just 50, even if it's 100, you might be thinking, okay, but if I'm posting a few times a week and each one of my posts is getting 100 views, 200 views, 1,000 views, why isn't it leading to sales yet? Now, the reality is that when you get views, it can feel really promising, right? But likes do not always mean buying intent. Buyers may notice you, but they may still feel unsure. So let's say they see one of your posts. So let's do C for content. That can be anything. It can be a story, it can be a carousel, it can be a reel, whatever. Okay. Now let's say Sam sees this piece of content. Okay. But let's say it's not very clear. She's not really understanding who it's for. It's not painfully obvious that it is for her. Sam is going to have lots of questions. She's going to be unsure. She's not really going to see a lot to do with her and see a lot of herself in that content. Okay. So she might still view it. She might even like it, but she's not really vibing with it. This is why views don't automatically mean sales. Views means that someone has seen it. They might not understand what you sell. They might not know that it's for them, and they might not be ready to act. These are all of the questions that Sam has when she's looking at your content. So let's talk about the difference between being seen and being understood. So we have our content piece, okay? All right. So let's say you are seen and let's say you are understood. There is a difference between those two things. Being seen is they scroll past and they recognize the product. They're like, oh, that's a bracelet. Oh, that's a candle. Oh, that's a tumbler, right? Being understood is completely different. This means that they know what it is, they know who it's for, and they know why it matters. And that is why pretty content, you could spend upwards of 30 minutes creating your reel, or 60 or 130, like whatever. I know people that spend 2 hours per content piece because they want it to be absolutely perfect. Listen, if you're creating perfect content, you are wasting your time, because people don't really care if your content is pretty. They care if it's clear. Remember, Sam, confused buyers do not click. They do not care. It will not drive people like Sam, who is left with questions, to your Etsy shop, to your website, to wherever you sell. So what do buyers actually need to see in your content before they click, DM, or buy? So let's grab up our content piece here. So it needs to explain a few things, okay? Your content needs to immediately tell them what it is. What is it? That's a question that they have, okay? Let's bring back Sam. Sam is here. Sam is looking at your content. Sam has questions, okay? So what is it? Her second question is it for me or a gift that I can give to someone? Don't forget that a lot of handmade gifts, a lot of handmade products are used to buy for someone else. So that still has to be painfully clear to the person who's actually going to be parting with the money. All right. The third thing is trust. Can I trust this person? Can I trust this bit of content that I've seen on Instagram or TikTok or Facebook? Because let's be honest, there's a lot less trust in 2026 than there was in 2024. Okay, so it's no longer a case of you can show up and be like, hey, look at this cool new thing that I've made. No, like, you need to actually build that trust with your people, your followers, the people who see your content. Now, the fourth thing is, what do I need to do next? All right. Now, it might seem obvious and you might be thinking, Steph, like, what on earth? I am posting, I am being consistent, I've never ripped off anyone in my life. Why would trust be an issue? The reality is that if someone is seeing your content for the first, second, third, fourth, fifth time, they still don't completely trust you, okay? So here's how Sam would go through these things here. All right. She would first see the post. She would then understand the product that's in the post or the brand or whatever. She would then start to trust you. And that is built over time. It's not something that you do in one post, in one foul swoop. And then she would message, she would click, she would buy. All right. Now, this whole 4 things, this whole 4 stages can literally take weeks. That is why I always say that when you market, you're doing it for your business in 3 months' time, because on average, that is how long it takes for someone who's been with you for 3 months to go through all of these stages. So if you're posting for 1 week and thinking, yay, go me, brilliant, but you need to do it for like 3 more months before you're going to actually start to get clicks, views, and sales. And that is only if your content is doing the right thing. So the reality is that a lot of handmade business owners focus on being seen. Okay, they're like, oh, how many views did I get? How many followers or subscribers do I have? And that's the metric that they focus in on. However, you need those middle steps. You need it to be clear. You need people to trust you, and you need that call to action to be compelling enough for people to take that action. Here's how that works. So you have seen, and for those of you who are listening on the podcast, I'm going to try my best to read out what I'm writing on the screen, okay? Sometimes I forget, but I will try. So you have seen, you have clear, you have action, and then after that, you repeat the system, okay? So it goes round in a loop. Seen, clear, action, repeat, all right? So when you are getting seen, you are getting that post, that product in front of people. Might not be the right people, and that's where going viral can be a little bit of a mishap, because you don't always want to go viral, because then you're going to get the wrong people seeing your brand and seeing your product and leaving comments, and then they follow you, and then what happens is that actually dilutes your brand, your profile. So that's why we really want to go viral, okay? So when you get seen, you get that post, that product in front of eyeballs, okay? When you are clear, you are explaining what it is and who it's for, because you have 3 seconds or less to make a first impression with your content. So if your reel takes, I don't know, 5 to actually get into showing the product, and it's like a slideshow, that's too long. People have already bounced off, okay? Now, the third thing here is action. Tell them what to do next. Simply say, links in my bio, DM me, comment this, whatever. Like you really need to tell them what you want the next step to be. That is really important, because people aren't mind readers. They don't know what you want them to do next. Then the last thing is repeat, okay? You want to be consistent. Now, I'm not saying this for my health. I'm not saying this, to be like one of those people that always just say, oh, be consistent. It's actually really important for the algorithm to be consistent. Even if that's once a week, even if it's 2 times a week, do it in a schedule that makes sense for you. Start small and work your way up. You do not need to be posting every single day. I know you might see that I do, and you might go, oh, well, she says you don't have to post every day, but I've worked my way up to that. I have a team to help me with that. I still write all of my content myself, but the reality is that I started off small. I think I started off with like three times a week, and then it went to 4, and then it went to 5, and then obviously it's gone up to like multiple times a day now. Okay, that's how I want you guys to play this. I'm going to go through these steps in a little bit more detail now, because I really want to make sure we know you leaving this, you know exactly what I mean and exactly what you need to do. So step 1 is seen, okay? You want to show the product clearly. You want to use photos, videos, hooks, visual hooks that stop the scroll. You want to avoid hiding the product buried under too much styling. You don't really want to be having like fancy fonts and fancy this. If you look at my Instagram profile, you'll see that actually all of my stuff is very, very simple. A 3-year-old could probably do it. But the reality is that I want people to focus on the messaging and on the visual rather than all this fancy slideshow stuff. Like I said, you want to make the first second or 2 of your content screamingly obvious, like really, really obvious. And when I say obvious, I'm meaning like don't be layering it and having like transitions and animations. Please just make it obvious. Okay, so that is the scene step. Now the clear step is you need to explain what the product is in a simple way. I cannot tell you the amount of times that I've seen like a bracelet or something funky and it's laid out and it looks more like a necklace, or it looks more like an anklet, or it looks like something that it's not really what it's supposed to be. You want to just make sure that you're not being so fancy with your photos that people can't actually see what it is. That is why I am a huge fan of modeled shots, because it shows instantly what it is, in some instances who it's for, sizing, color, all that sort of stuff. So that is why I'm a massive fan of modeled shots. Okay, now you want to show size, use, occasion, material, like you just want to be very obvious. Now the other thing is that you want to say who it's perfect for. If it's perfect for a baby shower gift, then say that. Don't bury it under assumptions that your target market is just going to know that it's perfect for a baby gift. Like, be obvious with it. Now, the other thing here is that if you are going to be clear, you need to obviously remove the buyer guesswork here. If people look at your content and they have questions, they're not going to bother to ask you. They're not going to bother to click on your profile. They're just not going to bother. That's not me being mean. That's just me being like realistic. Attention is the commodity that we don't have to give, really. So you need to grab someone's attention quickly and you need to keep it. The best way to do that is for your content and your profile and everything really to be exceedingly clear who it's for. Now, step 3 of this is action. You want to give people a next step. Tell them, click the link, visit the Etsy shop, comment, DM. Like, you actually want to be extremely clear on what you want them to do next. Now, the other thing is that you want to match your call to action with the post. You don't want to have like a bracelet and then say, DM me to order this candle. Like, that's a little bit odd. That's the more obvious one, but you also want to make sure that your call to action is matching the tone of the actual content itself. And basically the golden rule here is that you don't want to assume that they know what to do next, because chances are they probably don't. They're probably looking at this post whilst on the toilet or doing something else. And step 4 is simply repeating this, all right? One post rarely will do any selling at all, okay? You want to repeat key messages in different ways. You want to be consistent with it. Now, what I mean by that is that it takes on average someone 7 to 10 times of them seeing the same message, the same product, before they'll even consciously go, oh, I'm now picking up on this product. I'm now actually seeing it like on a conscious level, okay? So this means that you want to repeat key messages in different ways. Basically, buyers need reminders. No, that's not going to be annoying. That's actually going to be super convenient for them. All right. You don't want to assume that they've seen every single one of your posts. Just because you have, it doesn't mean that they have. And also as well, consistency builds recognition and trust. So actually, when you're repeating the same message over and over again, you're just reinforcing that. So let's talk about if your posts might be getting ignored. Let's say that you're posting on a consistent basis. You've been doing so for at least 3 months and you're just thinking, why are people just ignoring me? Like, I have no idea. So it usually means that your product is not obvious enough. Okay, it's not obvious. Maybe your product is an obvious one, but maybe the way you're marketing it or presenting it within your content is just confusing to people. People are not picking up quickly enough what it is that you sell. It could be something that the caption is far too vague. So vague caption could be the culprit here. It could be that the first line or the hook doesn't really give people enough of a reason to keep reading, to keep watching. And it could also be that there's no clear next step. People just do not know what they need to do next. So let's explain the fixes for people ignoring your content. Like, no one's interacting with you. You're wondering why. Let's talk about it. So fix number 1, make the product obvious quickly, okay? So you want to show the finished item early on in the video, in the carousel, in the image itself. You don't want to lean in and start off with, like, I don't know, wax pellets if actually your whole reel is about a candle. You want to show the finished candle, then go into the process if that's what your content is. You want to avoid extreme close-ups and context shots because that can get lost, especially if someone is seeing you for the first time. You also want to avoid making people guess what they are looking at. I see this happen a lot, especially with like clothing and things like that. You can't just assume that people know it's a t-shirt. You can't just assume that people know it's a pair of shorts. You have to actually show it. All of this, especially important for reels and carousels, because it's a video, because it's something that they have to actively watch and interact with. So make that first slide very, very hook worthy, like actually grab them and pull them into your content to carry on watching or scrolling. Now, fix number 2, if your content is being ignored, is buyers need to recognize themselves using the product or the person that they're going to buy it for and gift it for. All right. So you want to use occasion, person, problem, or style. You want to look at your product and be like, why would someone buy this and how would I appeal to that person? So an example here is for the friend who loves cozy nights in. You want to help turn passive interest into relevance to their lives. This is why, to be honest with you, being very, very vague, like new in my Etsy shop or 25% off sale, it's too vague. People don't connect with that. They don't see a little bit of themselves reflected in content like that. So if your content is being ignored, fix number 3 is to add buyer context, okay? Show how it is used, how it is gifted, or how it's displayed if it's an art piece or something like that. This is why model shots, like I've been saying this whole time, is so super important because it's showing all of that. You want to add size, scale, packaging, or personalization options. You want to actually show that. And I think the general rule of thumb for this is show, don't tell. I don't want to see a bunch of text in your reel. I don't want to see a bunch of text in your carousel unless it's like, you know, broken up and formatted in a very visual way. Wherever you can, show, don't tell. You want to explain anything that the buyer might wonder about. You want to basically answer any questions that would have people hesitate before buying from you or clicking on your link. And fix number 4, if people are ignoring your content, is you want to give a clear next step. All right, call to action, or a CTA. You want to tell people where to go next, and you also want to match the buying stage that they are in. So for example, you can find this in my Etsy shop. Go to my link in bio. Okay, now just a side note on link in bios, what I don't want to be seeing is very vague link in bios. I don't want to see generic home pages. I don't want to see like whole Etsy shots. I just want to see that specific product that you are talking about that week or that day. Yes, it means you're going to have to change your link in bio a lot, but what it does mean is that you're going to have less people drop off because they get to your homepage and they're like, right, you have 100 products. Where do I go now? So your next step now, after watching or listening to this, is go and grab my freebie. It's 72 pages. It's literally called Why Your Etsy Listings Aren't Selling Yet and What to Do About It. It does what it says on the tin. And it's very visual as well. There's drawings, there's text. If you're worried about 72 pages and you're thinking, I don't got time for that, don't worry. It's not 72 pages of like brick wall of text. It's very visual. It walks you through everything you need to help you spot why buyers are clicking. Maybe they're not buying from you, maybe they're not trusting from you, to help fix the bottleneck that's causing your shop to leak sales. And the very next thing I want you to do is I want you to go and watch/listen to Social Media for Beginners, what to post when you have no idea where to start. I'm going to link that below depending on where you are watching this, whether it's on YouTube or in the show notes. So everything you need link-wise will be below this. So guys, thank you so much for joining me. Go and do those 2 things next because it'll be a really nice like follow on to this. And I will see you all next time.